The most important GPT-5.6 update may not be a benchmark score. It may be a small button called Add to Task. But this button points to a much bigger change in how AI work is organized. The basic unit is moving from a disposable prompt to a task that keeps state. In plain English, the AI can keep working while your thinking gets better. You do not have to throw away the work every time the conversation changes. Start with the official behavior. OpenAI's Codex documentation describes projects, chats, and tasks as connected parts of the desktop experience. It also describes a quick chat option called Add to Task. That option brings a conversation into the task you are currently working on. The official claim is simple. Useful context can move into active work. Everything beyond that is my product interpretation. I'm not saying OpenAI officially calls prompts persistent objects. I am saying the interaction now behaves more like that than a one-time command. Now look at the old workflow. You opened a chat to explore a problem. You asked questions, challenged assumptions, and clarified what success should look like. Then you moved to another surface to produce the actual result. Maybe that result was a report, a spreadsheet, a presentation, a website, or a working code change. At that moment, you became the transfer layer. You copied the conversation. You rewrote the prompt. You summarized the decision. That handoff is more expensive than it looks. The hidden cost is distortion. A summary removes uncertainty, debate, rejected options, and the reason behind a decision. The execution agent receives the conclusion, but not always the logic that produced it. It can then solve the written request perfectly while missing the real problem. Teams often blame the model when the actual failure happened during the handoff. The model did not forget the context. The workflow never delivered the context in a usable form. Here is the deeper product shift. The old prompt behaved like a function call. You sent an instruction, received an output, and the interaction was mostly finished. A stateful task behaves differently. It has a goal that continues over time. It has files, sources, decisions, and work already completed. Most importantly, it can absorb an approved correction without restarting from zero. That does not make the task alive or intelligent in some mystical sense. It simply makes the work persistent enough to improve while it is running. The useful task state has 5 layers. The first layer is the goal. What outcome are we actually trying to produce? The second layer is constraints. What must the agent avoid, preserve, or verify? The third layer is evidence. Which sources, files, and facts are trusted enough to use? The fourth layer is artifacts. What has already been written, designed, tested, or rejected? The fifth layer is history. Which decisions changed, and why did they change? If they are scattered across windows, every handoff becomes a partial reset. This also explains the 3 surfaces inside the product. Chat is useful when the problem is still unclear. It is where you explore, compare, challenge, and decide. Work is useful when the main object is a business deliverable. That could be research, analysis, a document, a spreadsheet, a deck, or a site. Codex is useful when the main object is a technical system inside a real environment. That could be a repository, a local folder, a test suite, or a running application. They are 3 different moments in the same work cycle. Add to task matters because it reduces the break between those moments. The work versus Codex choice is not simply code versus no code. The better question is what object is changing, and how will you verify success? If a person reviews the final deliverable, work is often the natural home. If the result must compile, run, pass tests, or preserve a technical environment, Codex is usually the better home. A website brief may begin in chat. The research and copy may be developed in work. The production site may belong in Codex because the system has to run. The context should move with it, but the verification method should change. Let me make this concrete with research. Imagine you're preparing a market report for a leadership meeting. In chat, you discover that the original question is too broad. You narrow the market, define the customer segment, and reject 2 weak sources. The old workflow asks you to summarize all of that before the report begins. With a stateful task, the approved scope and source decisions can join the work already in progress. It can update the analysis, preserve the useful sections, and flag the sections that now need review. The value is not faster typing. The value is less analytical amnesia. Now take a product launch. The team starts with positioning, audience, pricing, and launch timing. During execution, legal adds a compliance constraint. Sales discovers a customer objection that the original message ignored. In a frozen prompt workflow, those updates arrive as separate messages and separate documents. The agent may follow the latest instruction while forgetting why the earlier decisions existed. In a stateful workflow, approved changes can update the same task and the same acceptance criteria. The launch assets remain connected to the decisions that shape them. Software work makes the distinction even clearer. A developer may use chat to reason about an architecture trade-off. The team agrees on a constraint, such as keeping an existing API stable. The code is not successful because it sounds reasonable. It is successful when it builds, the tests pass, and the behavior remains compatible. Add to task can move the approved reasoning into the working context. Codex still needs the repository, the commands, and the verification loop. Context transfer helps the agent choose the right change. Tests still decide whether that change actually works. Creative work follows the same pattern. Suppose a brand team is producing a campaign across video, social, and a landing page. The first conversation establishes the audience, tone, visual boundary, and claims the brand can support. Then the team sees a first cut and realizes the message sounds too technical. That correction should not become a random final note. It should update the task's working state. Persistent context creates consistency across outputs. Human review protects the work from becoming consistently wrong. In our flatkey and engine workflows, the biggest loss often happens between tools. Research sits in one window. The approved decision sits in a chat. Execution happens in a local project. Every manual transfer creates another chance to drop a source, miss a constraint, or revive a rejected idea. Connecting those stages can create more practical value than switching to a slightly stronger model. The strongest model cannot use context that never reaches the task. A cheaper model with clean state and clear checks may outperform an expensive model inside a broken workflow. But persistent context creates new risks. More memory is not automatically better memory. A task can preserve good decisions, but it can also preserve confusion. It can reduce repetition or accumulate noise until nobody knows which instruction is authoritative. The goal is not to save every conversation. The goal is to preserve the decisions, evidence, and constraints that deserve operational weight. The first risk is context pollution. People brainstorm freely in chat. If every sentence is pushed into the task, speculation begins to look like policy. The agent receives more text but less clarity. The fix is an approval boundary. Only transfer the conclusion, the supporting evidence, the rejected alternatives that matter, and the reason for the decision. Do not treat the entire conversation as equally authoritative. The second risk is stale authority. A decision may be correct on Monday and wrong on Friday. The product scope changes. A source is corrected. A legal requirement becomes stricter. Persistent tasks need a way to mark decisions as current, replaced, or pending review. Otherwise, the agent may combine two incompatible instructions and quietly choose one. A good task history does not only remember what happened, it makes the latest approved state easy to identify. The third risk is permission creep. When context moves between surfaces, access boundaries matter. The ability to transfer context should not become permission to transfer everything. Teams need clear rules for which files, sources, and conversation details can enter the execution environment. Stateful work increases continuity. It also increases the importance of governance. So how should a team operate this? Use a simple 7-step loop. First, clarify the problem in conversation. Second, turn the conversation into a short approved decision record. Third, attach the sources and constraints that support that decision. Fourth, add that approved context to the active task. Fifth, let the agent execute inside the correct environment. Sixth, verify the output with human review, tests, or measurable acceptance criteria. Seventh, feed only the approved correction back into the task state. That loop keeps thinking and execution connected without turning every thought into an instruction. You also need better metrics. Do not measure only how many prompts the team sends. Measure how often work restarts because context was lost. Measure how many review comments repeat a decision that was already made. Measure the time between a correction and a verified new output, and measure how much of the task can be reproduced from the recorded state. Those numbers reveal whether your workflow is actually becoming more intelligent. A faster model inside a high rework process is still an expensive process. This changes the platform competition. The winning AI product may not be the one with the most impressive chat box. It may be the one that best connects exploration, execution, review, and correction. Model quality still matters. Price still matters. But continuity becomes its own product advantage. The platform that preserves approved context, routes work to the right environment, and verifies the result can become the operating layer for an entire team. My final take is simple. Do not look at add to task as a copy and paste shortcut. Look at it as a signal that AI work is becoming stateful. The prompt is no longer only the sentence that starts the job. It is becoming part of a changing record that guides the job from idea to verified output. Used well, it becomes the connective tissue between thinking and doing. So ask one practical question about your own team. Which valuable workflows are still forced to start from zero every time? Those are the first workflows that should become persistent tasks. Follow me, and I will keep breaking down the AI shifts that actually change how teams work.